Jessie was taken to the works to be mended and looked after. Edward left. "Don't worry, my dear. We'll be having you in good working order again soon," Victor said. Jessie was still confused. What was the engine she saw last night? It looked like James, but its female horrific face was absolutely terrible looking. She still had nightmares about that. "Hello, my dear. What seems to be the problem?" said a voice. Jessie looked to her right. There was Neil, the Sodor mainland engine. He was going under maintenance. "Oh, hey, Neil," she said. "Something happened to me while I was down at the lead mines." "What was it?" Neil asked. "Some engine came and bumped me off the rails, but it doesn't make much sense." "What doesn't make much sense?" asked Neil. Its face." "Its face?" asked Neil. "Yes, it had a very horrific-looking face with red eyes and sharp teeth and blood coming down her face. 2 express headlamps were bleeding at me like they were trying to suck out my soul. It hit me and caused me to derail, but I don't even think that's even possible. I'm so confused." Neil looked down at his buffers. He was in very deep thought. "I'm sorry, Neil. I shouldn't have talked to you about this," said Jessie, now looking a bit foolish. "Maybe I was just playing tricks on me and the wind just blew me off the rails." "Linda." "What?" Jessie asked. Neil looked up. Her name was Linda. Jessie fell silent. Neil cleared his throat. "Linda was an engine who used to work on Sodor, even before Markland came here. She was here in 1907. I remember her quite well. Her real name was City of London. She was a Great Western Railway 3700 class locomotive. In fact, she was built just before City of Truro. They were siblings." "Oh, I remember her. She was such a darling engine, so beautiful and nice. She was very, very good-natured. Though I will say there was one fact about her that I found a bit strange. Her right eye. She had a pupil the size or the shape of a crescent moon. She didn't know how she got it, but we often called her the moon-eyed engine. She was such a lovely folk. But there was another engine that we didn't like so much." "And who was that?" Jessie asked. "Devil," he said. "Devil was a Midland, how should I say this, experimental locomotive built off a La France design, I think. He was a bit of a quiet sort. He worked with Linda a lot on our railways. I could tell that Devil had feelings for Linda, though I don't really think that she knew that, because she put all of her affection on a tank engine. A tank engine who is under restoration at the time. He was the engine that she believed loved her. Devil was insulted by this, and he changed. He insulted her. He belittled her. He said the most awful things to her. I could tell Linda was taking it very personally, but she never showed it. I often talked to Devil about this, and I felt sorry for him, honestly, and I felt sorry for both of them. I felt so sorry for Devil, who never found love, and the only love he ever had in his life took him away, and now she fell for another engine. And I can understand Linda. She was being ridiculed for something that she didn't even know about. That was until that night." "What night?" Jessie asked. Neil sighed, a small tear forming in his eye. "Back then, we used to have a special service to Sodor that was connected with the LNWR. There was a connecting train at Crewe that would come from Crewe all the way to Knapford. Linda usually took the train. That night, I remember it quite clearly, she left on the mainland. She left Sodor to the mainland to collect the train. It was an express train. It was a train that she loved. I knew she was due it, and I wished her good night, and I wished her good luck. That was the last time I ever saw her alive. What do you mean? Asked Jessie. It was later that night that I got the call that a train had crashed into the lead mines. To see it was most horrifying. Neil tried to catch his words carefully. It was a great ball of fire. It was terrible. It was terrifying. I was so horrified by it. Who was it? Jessie asked. Neil closed his eyes. It was Linda. She and the express had run out of control and had been switched off the wrong track to the lead mines, crashing and exploding. There was nothing much left of her after that. I remember City Achuro visiting Sodor one time. He was deeply saddened by the loss of his older sister. I felt sorry for him. But things didn't add up. There were rumors circling about that Linda's driver had been drunk the time of the accident. Though that would never be true. Many witnesses reported that as the train flashed by us at 80 miles per hour, they heard him screaming and yelling and fighting with the firemen. The story goes that somehow, some way, Linda's engineer went complete mad with rage and killed the firemen and ran the train to the lead mines. But then there was the question of how did the train get into the lead mines track? We don't know how that happened. You see, the track was sent to Knapford. It wasn't sent to the line to the lead mines. I mean, how could that have happened? I still don't know how it happened. Poor Linda. She must have been frightened for her life. Her driver, something went wrong inside of his mind. But that's not the end of the story. All in all of her passengers, her crew, and herself were killed in the crash. Only the guard survived, and to this very day the crash still remains unsolved to this very day. But the end of the story is not there. Rumor has it that Linda haunts the lead mines, screaming and screeching as she climbs along the tracks. But that's not the worst part. What could be worse than that? Asked Jessie. Neil sighed. 2 weeks after Linda's demise, Devil was sent to take a train down to the lead mines. He never came back. When I went down there the next day, I found him, or what was left of him, in pieces. His crew's bodies were nearby. They looked as if they were eaten alive by some hungry pack of wolves. They were horrific to see. Legend has it that Linda is now a vengeful ghost, haunting Sodor, killing anybody that gets in her way. Neil closed his eyes and then sighed. You were one of the lucky ones, he said. Lucky ones, Jessie said. Why would you say that? Neil looked up. I don't think that you understand your situation, Jessie. If it was Linda you saw that night, you would be dead. She kills. She kills engines that come across her track. And sometimes it's engines who know about her story. Have you seen her? Jessie asked. Oh yes, I've seen her. A couple times. But she's never gotten me. She's never gotten me, Neil said. He looked a bit shaken up. But I've seen her. She's horrific to see. And I hope that one day she does find peace and ends her reign of terror once and for all. Does Truro know about this? Asked Jessie. He tries not to believe it, but deep down, I know he does. Neil sighed and puffed away, leaving Jessie with a lot to think about. In the end, No damage was found to Jessie, and she was quickly at work soon after. She never went back to the lead mines ever again, and she never saw Linda, or the ghost of Linda, ever again. But legend has it that when the moon is full and when the fog is down, you'll hear the howl of a wolf, and then the shrill whistle of a GWR city class locomotive. And then you'll see her flying down the track, shrieking and screaming into the night, before she takes you away, and you will never be alive again. I give you this warning. If you are ever on Sodor, and you hear the sound of a GWR city class at night, you better hope, you better wish, you better hope that you can run like hell, for if it's Linda, you'll never see the light of day again.